G'day guys and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So guys, in today's video, I will be ranking NRL teams on how I think they went this season, if they exceeded expectations, if they met expectations, or if they fell below expectations. So I'm very excited to jump in and talk about this one. Now, obviously, guys, a lot of you will have differing opinions, and that's absolutely fine. If you do disagree with something I say or one of my selections, let me know in the comments. We'll have a chat about it. I can't wait to hear from you. Also, on top of all that, I am now on Cameo. I know, it's crazy. I couldn't believe it either. So I will leave the link down below if one of you guys do want me to give you a personalized message. You know, I will leave it in the link below. It is what it is. You do, you don't. I don't mind. I'm just happy and I've got your support on this channel. But yes, I have recorded, or I am recording this on Saturday before the NRL Grand Final. It probably will drop tomorrow morning prior to Grand Final day kicking off. So yeah, look, I don't think I don't think the result tomorrow really changes how these teams will get ranked. Personally, that is just my opinion. But yeah, let's jump in and start ranking. So the Brisbane Broncos. I absolutely think the Brisbane Broncos have exceeded expectations. I personally had them missing out on the top 8. There was a lot of turmoil, issues with Payne Haas, whether he was going to stay or go earlier on in the season. Billy Walters wasn't up to NRL standards come the end of last year, and then he just turned it around. We didn't know who was playing dummy half at the start of the year, so credit to him for that. You've then got the whole Selwyn Cobbo going at the coach, Kevin Walters, that whole saga. Look, I personally thought that the Broncos would struggle this season. They definitely exceeded my expectations. And I think they exceeded most people's expectations, making it all the way to a grand final. So Broncos, for me, exceeded expectations. We move on to the Bulldogs. Now, the Bulldogs, for me, were below expectations. Now, a lot of people had them in the top 8. Some people had them just missing the 8. A lot of people said they would improve. And personally, I don't think they did. While the Tigers finished lower than them on the ladder, I personally think the Tigers were a more competitive team than the Bulldogs. So for me, the Bulldogs fell well short of expectations. All right, Cronulla, the Sharkies. I think they met expectations. I don't think a lot of people had them in the top 4. I think a lot of people probably had them either making it to the first week of finals or second. I don't think too many people would have had them up in the top 4. So I think met expectations is absolutely fine personally. I don't think they exceeded expectations by any means necessary. I don't see that at all. And I don't think they really fell below expectations. I think they're about where everybody sort of had them ranked at the start of the year. If you had them ranked higher, you know, maybe they did fall below your expectations. But for me, I think they met expectations. The Dolphins had a bit of a funny year. They started the year off incredibly well. They were in the top 8 for a good part of the season. They sort of fell down a little bit later on in the year. But for me, I think they were slightly above expectations, so I'm going to put exceeded expectations. I thought they'd be around a wooden spoon to a bottom 4 side, and I think they just missed the bottom 4, maybe by 1 or 2 places there. Yeah, finished 13th, I think, so around the bottom of the pack. But yeah, I still think they exceeded expectations for the most part. You know, they were fighting for the top 8 earlier on this season, and yeah, just the season caught up with them and they fell down a little bit, but I still think they definitely should be in exceeded expectations. The Gold Coast Titans. This one's a funny one for me because I know a lot of people had them a bit higher on the ladder. I know there were several Titans fans and other fans as well, just neutral supporters, that had the Titans around top 8 to probably 9th to 12th. They fell a bit shorter than that, and I personally think, for me, I thought they'd be a bottom 4 side or thereabouts. So personally for me, I think they met where people expected them to be. It's hard because you could say they were below expectation as well. I wouldn't disagree with you. 100% wouldn't disagree. Jesus, my phone's going off there. We'll mute that. But I think they should be in met expectations. All right, the Canberra Raiders. They finished towards the bottom of the top 8. I actually think they finished 8th. They did. So they're another tough one because, you could have said at the start of the season they'd miss the top 8, and I would have agreed with you, or they'd slide just into the top 8. I didn't think that'd be a bottom 4 team or anything like that, but I thought maybe that 9th to 12th sort of spot. I'm going to say that they met expectations. Very much don't think they exceeded where people thought they'd finish, and I don't think they fell below expectations either. So I think met expectations is an absolutely fine ranking for them. If you guys do disagree though, again, let me know in the comments. Next up, we've got Manly. Another tough one because it's hard. If Turbo was healthy all year, they'd probably meet expectations or maybe even exceed it, but I don't know. They finished 12th, I think. I would say that they probably fell below expectations, to be honest. I would say they've probably fallen below expectation. And yeah, you know what? You guys can, again, disagree all you want. Let me know why in the comments. But yeah, I think Manly definitely fell below expectations. Just my opinion there, guys. Storm, for me, is a funny one as well because a lot of people sort of had Storm in different spots. Some people had them missing the 8. Some people had them in the top 4. And some people had them just in the 8, missing the 4. Nobody really had them at the bottom. So I think for Storm, it's got to be in one of these two. And personally, I think they exceeded expectations. I didn't see them making the top 4 after they let go of Felice Carfusi, the Bromwich brothers, and others as well. I didn't see them being a top 4 side this year, if I'm completely honest with you. But, parts of the season you could say they were below expectations, but at the end of the year, when they needed to, finish the season strong, they made the top 4. Yeah, they didn't go far in the finals, but they were still relatively good. So I think exceeded expectations is pretty fair for Melbourne. All right, for the Warriors, definitely exceeded expectations. I think a lot of people had them around the bottom 4, and unless you're a Warriors fan or you're back in the long odds, then I think you'd have to say they well and truly exceeded expectations. So for me, the Warriors definitely exceeded expectations. Rookie coach, same with the Bulldogs. Both had rookie coaches. The Bulldogs were expected to basically do what the Warriors did, just not to that same level. And the Warriors, a lot of people thought they'd be where the Bulldogs are at. But yeah, ironically, Andrew Webster, Loki, the better coach, maybe. I don't know. Obviously, it's too early to say at this point in time. But coach of the year, the Warriors for me absolutely exceeded expectations. Another team that exceeded expectations are the Newcastle Knights. Now, start of the season, if you told me the Knights would be not one win, but one spot off of top 4, finishing 5th, I would have laughed at you because I thought they were getting the spoon. Caleb Ponga at 5'8", I really did think that would fail, and realistically, it did. But then the Knights put him back at fullback and he wins Dally M of the Year. He needed to be at fullback. He had to be at fullback, and it just goes to show you, they put faith in Jackson Hastings, and Hastings delivered as well. That spine was outstanding in my opinion. And Newcastle for me, well and truly exceeded expectations. The Cowboys, this one's a relatively easy one. I'm putting them below expectations. So I think most people had the Cowboys around that 5, probably to 10th spot. Didn't think they'd finish 11th. I didn't think they'd finish that low. And yeah, look, I think a few injury concerns and at the start of the season, players out of form. Like the Cowboys looked like they could have won the spoon at the start of the year. They were that poor. So bad start to the year. Around the middle of the season, they started to pick things up. But they missed the finals. They fell right down to 11th. So that's crazy. That's crazy. I definitely think they're below expectations. But if you said Met, I probably would disagree with you. But if you had a good enough argument, I could see it. Next up, we got Parramatta. I'd put them in. I actually had them falling out of the top 8, so I'm actually going to put them in net expectations. I know, and this is another one, you definitely could say below expectations, and I'd 100% I'd be on your side as well because, yeah, they made a grand final last year to falling well out of the finals. I wouldn't be mad if you said below expectations, but for me personally, I expected them to miss finals. I had them outside of my top 8, and for me, I think met expectations. This is about the right spot there for Parramatta. For the Panthers, again, definitely met expectations. I had them going to the grand final. I actually, ironically, had them playing the Roosters in the grand final, so was wrong about that. But I definitely think they met expectations. I think most people had them as minor premiers or close to it, and definitely had them around that grand final again. So Panthers definitely met expectations. We move on. Rabbitohs, 100% below expectation. I had them around that top 4, between probably 3rd and 6th. To miss the finals is an absolute joke when we were first after 11 rounds. So disappointing. Rabbitohs for me, 100% below expectations. 100%. Dragons for me, I'd say they met expectation, and the big reason behind that is a lot of people had them around the spoon, and they were there. They were there. So, I don't think too many people expected them to go much higher than the bottom 4. They met their expectations, and I'm going to leave it there. If you guys disagree and you think they fell below expectations, that's fine. Let me know why in the comments, but that's fine. But for me, I think they met expectations. Right, for the Roosters, I had them as a top 4 side going to the grand final against the Panthers. So I think you've got to put them at below expectations. The Rabbitohs and Roosters, fierce rivals, had the complete opposite season. The Roosters, they were, 14th or 13th with 5 rounds to go. They made the finals, whereas the Rabbitohs, after 11 rounds, were well and truly the leaders of the comp. They'd beaten the Broncos, they'd beaten the Panthers, they'd beaten the Storm. They were on a roll, and then everything just fell apart. So the Roosters had the opposite season, where their second half of the season turned around and they were beating some decent teams and some poor ones as well. But yeah, for me, I think the Roosters definitely below expectation. I think a lot of people had them pretty high up on the ladder. So I think that's a pretty fair statement there to say. If you guys disagree and say that they met expectations, again, probably wouldn't disagree too much with you, but I still would be a little bit more in that disagreement section than I would in agreement. All right, and for the Tigers, I would say they met expectations. I think most people, again, had them around that wooden spoon sort of area. I had them a little bit higher. I really did. I thought that we'd see an improvement from them. But I think for the most part, people would agree that they met expectations, to be honest. And if you guys disagree and say that they should be below average, I wouldn't disagree either. I think you're probably right as well. But for me, I think for the most part, they met expectations. I don't think we really expected the Tigers to be all that improved. Yeah, I don't know. This one's a tough one because I could definitely see them in below, but I'm going to go with my gut and leave them in met. But guys, that is going to wrap it up from me. Make sure you let me know in the comments if you have any disagreements. I'd love to hear from you guys. And if you want a cameo, guys, jump over. Link is going to be in the bio. Hopefully it'll stay in there or in the description. Sorry, hopefully it'll stay in there for the foreseeable future. Once again, guys, that is going to wrap it up for me. Thank you all so much once again. And as always, my friends, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.